Welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers.
We're your hosts, Mary Ann
and Ching-en.
Please join us as we explore the journeys amazing people take in pursuit of their dreams.
And get insights from their experiences.
Let's hit the road.
And get started.
Hello, and welcome to Formosa Dream Chasers. Last week, we sat down with Professor Ilon Huang, a German language lecturer at National Chengchi University and Soochow University, to learn what first brought him to Taiwan and how his journey here began. We talked about his dual cultural identity and what it felt like to arrive in Taiwan as a Mandarin student, navigating a place that was both new and yet familiar. Today, we dive even deeper into what it's been like for Ilon to build a life in Taiwan over the past 25 years. He shares the cultural adjustments he's had to make, how his experiences shaped him, and how storytelling through his work at Radio Taiwan International became such a meaningful part of his life here. And finally, Ilon offers some heartfelt advice for newcomers who are trying to carve out their path in Taiwan as well. So let's jump back in. Here's part 2 of our interview with Ilon Huang. Shifting a little bit to something you mentioned earlier, again, talking about transitioning from being a student to settling down in Taiwan and then building a life here. You mentioned that your wife is Taiwanese and then you have a son. And you mentioned some of the cultural differences that you had, like for example, like your family was less religious, whereas your wife is more religious in that aspect, being Taiwanese. Yeah. Were there any other instances where you felt you had to adjust in terms of like these cultural differences?
Yeah, that's the main thing. And traditions, basically, like old traditions. I think old traditions are interesting, but I don't think you always have to follow them, especially if they really control your life. So, for example, like the marriage, weddings here are like a lot of, in my opinion, strange traditions. and the funny thing for me is like everybody says, okay, these traditions are really, really important, but then no one really knows what are the real exact rules. Every family comes up with their own rule, or like they have to find out, okay, what's the rule like for weddings or for engagement. Like you have a big engagement party here, actually. It is very important. So there's one rule. Engagement party is organized by the bride's family. Most of the guests are invited by the bride's family. And then the groom can bring friends and relatives, but not as many. And then like he gets 1 or 2 tables at the party. So you get there and you eat, and then you have to leave at some point before the party has finished, and you have to leave without saying goodbye. But the funny thing is, every family does it on their own. Like some people say it's like after the 3rd dish, or like it's after the appetizer, or like before the fruits or stuff. You have to leave before the party is finished, and you have to leave without saying goodbye. But when is actually the real time to leave? Every family does it on their own. So I find that makes it really hard on people, very complicated. But I just thought of something else, what is the attitude towards school. I don't like the Taiwanese school system or education system. So this is a big difference between me and like many Taiwanese parents, or also like a little bit between me and my wife.
Okay.
So that's another, I don't know if it's cultural difference or something like that.
I was actually going to ask you a question about that because you're a professor over at Chengchi University and Soochow University. I wanted to ask you, what observations do you have about Taiwan's educational system compared to that in Germany? So could you share a little bit about that?
Yeah, of course. This is more like the view of like a dad who is sometimes annoyed of what the kids have to go through. So one thing is, I think hours are too long, and then you have a lot of homework, not just during the week, but also during the weekend. Then for vacation, I mean, the vacation homework has gotten much less than what it was during my father's time or during my wife's time, for example. But you still have to do a lot of stuff, and a lot of time I just found the teachers give the homework just so they can give them homework. Like there was like one project my son had to do over summer vacation. He finished the project and like he turned in all the stuff, and they never talked about it. They were supposed to do like a presentation, and they never talked about it. They never had the time to do the presentation. I think as a homework, I thought like stupid. Another example, like to have you have homework over the weekend, but then also the worst thing I thought once was like after they had their midterms. They had midterms on Thursday and Friday, and then he came home Friday afternoon, and he still got homework for the weekend. I'm like, hey, they just had like 5 or 6 exams in 2 days. And you can't give them like 2 days off just to relax and just to get their mind off school. So yeah, too long. And then yeah, they have like classes until like 4.
Right.
Sometimes until 5. And then you have cram school. Like recently I've been coming home like around 9 the last few days. And each time I ran into like some of my son's former classmates or schoolmates. They're just coming home at 9 or 9:30 from cram school. It's a little bit the system here, but it's also a lot of people, parents' attitude. They are afraid that they don't learn enough and fast enough English in school, so they send them to cram school. And then sometimes I think the teachers they talk and the students have to listen. It's gotten better in the last I don't know how many years, but so actually now students can get involved during class. So like the teacher is asking something and then students can reply or can discuss and whatever to some extent. In earlier times, like actually a lot of my students are still like that. They are not used to communicate in class. You know, and they listen to the teacher, take notes, memorize, take tests, whatever. But that was past, so they are not actually trained or like used to like communicate or interact with the teachers or interact with other students. That has gotten better the last few years, but there's still a lot of teachers who don't know how to do that because yeah, you cannot change the system so quickly.
Okay, I understand.
Yeah, something that really annoys me. Yeah.
Okay.
So, actually, I'm venting here, or like, but don't get me wrong. Germany is not perfect. Yeah, Germany is not perfect. There are a lot of problems too, but yeah. So the one thing is here, my son loves sports, and he has been on a tennis team in elementary school, and now he is on a school team in his junior high school. But the attitude here in Taiwan is, I mean, like before like when, like my generation, for example, like my wife's generation or like my father's generation, at that time, sports for regular people was not important. It was not encouraged. Like I think my brother-in-law, for example, he never told his father that he was on the high school volleyball team because you have to study. You know, don't waste your time with sports. Now, though we are much more open now, and we are always happy when we win some Olympic gold medals, whatever. And the attitude still, hey, if my kid is good in school, I don't want him to waste his time with like sports. And so when my son, just before, like when he was finishing up elementary school, and he was thinking about where he wants to go to junior high school, and he wanted to continue to play tennis. So he had to choose a junior high school that has a tennis team, sports class. And most of the teachers, they said, "Oh, you have good grades. Why do you want to continue? Why do you want to be in a sports class? You know, this is only for people or students who are not good in school." And so in the end, then a lot of parents actually they don't allow their kids or prevent their kids even if the kids want to do that, they prevent their kids from joining like a sports team or sports class. Like, I mean, they perhaps they might allow them to like practice this like on a weekend or something, but not on a regular like team. So in the end, then you actually have a lot of people in a sports team or in a sports class who are not interested in school. So that's they filter this out. And then, in my opinion, the school thinks, or the people, the society, the school, whatever, say tennis association, for example, they think, okay, we don't have to give them the real opportunity to do both sports and school. A lot of times, a lot of tournaments are during school time, like from Monday through Friday. You know, and like on my son's team, don't tell them, but I don't think any one of them will become a professional tennis player.
Okay.
They train and they are treated like as if that they will become professional tennis players, and education is not important for them. So
I see.
that's something that really annoys me. Like, yeah.
Okay, I understand. Okay. I think one of the things that's important to also note is, I think for people like you and me who grew up outside of Taiwan, we see things through a different lens because we grew up differently. And so maybe we think that the system we grew up with is better, or that we see there are things that can be improved. Whereas, for a lot of people that maybe only have their experience here in Taiwan, they don't know any better. You know what I mean? Because they haven't had the chance to compare. And so, your feelings and observations are completely valid because you see things knowing that there are things that could be done better, and there's a very different perspective on how things should be run. But again, looking at things from different angles, as I was mentioning, since the show is called Formosa Dream Chasers, I'm curious to find out how, for you think Taiwan has supported or shaped the dreams that you have or are chasing today.
I wouldn't call it dreams, but the way I work now, or like what I'm doing now, gives me a lot of opportunities to like get to know more about Taiwan, get to know a lot of different people from different areas of life. I think this is it's. I'm not chasing a dream or so at the moment, because I won't be able to become a professional basketball player anymore.
Okay.
So that would have been my dream, but yeah, I'm working for the radio station for RTI, and I teach at 2 universities, and through these 2 jobs I get to know a lot of different people. I get to know a lot about Taiwan. For example, recently for the last few years I got to know a lot about the semiconductor industry. At the same time, I get to know a lot about, for example, history, Taiwanese history, for example. So it's not that it supports a dream, or since I'm not chasing some dreams here, but it gives me the opportunity to learn a lot and meet a lot of fun people, interesting people, do interesting stuff, and yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Since we're talking about, doing different things in Taiwan, for foreigners who want to study here or build a career in Taiwan, what's something that you wish somebody would have told you before you started your journey here?
I think perhaps that's contradictory, but 2 things. One thing is, as long as you live here, go all in. But at the same time, have an idea how to make a bag, like in my case, Germany. What I mean is, like, when I came here, because of my life situation, I had no plans. I didn't make any plans. I just came here. Though after like a few years I always wanted to return to Germany, it was difficult for me because I had no working connections to Germany and stuff. So this is one thing. I think still keep your options open and keep a connection to your home country, perhaps. Working connections or any kind of like connections or relationships which might help you then later it makes it easier to go back or find an opportunity to go back. At the same time, while you are here, go all in basically. It's a little bit contradictory perhaps, but it's also something what I would tell people when they are working, when they work in a job and perhaps also not totally happy with the job. As long as you're in the job, go all in. Try to do the best you can like while on the job. Otherwise, it's really annoying or boring or stuff. And then at the same time, look for an opportunity to get out there, but not just sit there, for example, in the office and don't do anything or whatever, or like being annoyed, being bored. In earlier times when I was still working for regular companies, I thought this is just terrible. So I wouldn't really try to live here like fully, you know. I was always with my mind being somewhere else, basically.
Right. I kind of understand what you mean. What you're trying to say is when you're doing something, just put all of your effort into it. Don't hold back.
Yeah.
Just do your best.
Yeah.
But at the same time, that also means that you don't limit your options. You know, if you have the chance to explore other opportunities, other avenues, then everyone should try to do that, because you never know what things will come out of it. It's so like in your case, you know, you do what you do in terms of work, but also at the same time, because you come from Germany, you look into opportunities that come up that might connect you back to other work opportunities in Germany. That's what I understood. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay,
very
good.
well
Excellent.
summarized.
Okay, good.
You summarized my bubbling really well.
Then the last thing I wanted to ask is, would you like to say something in German to invite listeners who may be German to also check out your programs?
Ja, hallo für alle, die Deutsch sprechen, Deutsch verstehen. Schön, dass Sie hier zuhören. Und hören Sie doch auch mal bei Radio Taiwan International bei der Deutschredaktion rein. Dort haben wir auch viele verschiedene Themen, viele verschiedene Programme, die verschiedene Themen und Aspekte von Taiwan abdecken. Ja, ich würde mich freuen, den einen oder anderen vielleicht auch dann bei uns in der Deutschredaktion begrüßen zu können.
I don't know when you ended because I don't understand German. So, okay. Okay. Thank you. Is that it?
Yeah, I finished my German announcement.
Would you like to tell me what you said?
No, I actually just said hello to everyone who speaks German, understands German, and invited everyone who is able to understand German to check out Radio Taiwan RTI's German programs. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, Ilon, thank you so much for your time. I really enjoyed chatting with you. I wish I could chat with you longer.
Thank you, Marianne. It's always a lot of fun chatting with you.
Okay, I'm glad you enjoyed yourself, and I hope to catch up with you again soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it.
Thanks, Ilon.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thanks so much for joining me on Formosa Dream Chasers. I hope Ilon's story inspired you as much as it did me. If you enjoyed today's episode, be sure to tune in again next week for more stories of people making their mark in Taiwan. Until then, take care and keep chasing your dreams.
This is Ching and Cho.
And Mary Ann Shoko.
See you guys next week. Bye.